Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable, we're going to give them special treats and they'll give you special treats or something. I don't know what all that means. But between now and then, we have some great guests and information coming your way, including a discussion about young people and technology. What's the link there? David Mounts will be here to tell you all about that. We'll also have a special guest tell you about some upcoming job fairs in the area, so stay tuned. But first, we turn our attention to the arts and a gentleman who knows all about the arts because they happen on his watch. Wasn't that poetic?
That was lovely.
Next to me, of course,
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah. Next to me is my good friend Dave Briggs, and of course he's director of High Point Theater, which is appropriate because we're going to talk about the High Point Theater.
How appropriate is that?
Isn't that fortuitous?
Yeah.
All right, so welcome to the show.
Glad I'm here.
Yeah, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
All right, now before we talk about what's coming up specifically, which we always like to plug things, get it in people's minds, they'll buy tickets. But looking back on 2017, you had a lot of great shows, a lot of diverse shows. How would you, I know you're prejudiced, but sort of remove yourself. How did things go in 2017 at High Point Theater?
2017 was an outstanding year for us. Although we had an interesting thing happen. Our revenues were up, but our number of total ticket sales were down. But that was because we had a lot of free events.
I got you. That's right, like the one I went to with the military.
Exactly.
Band.
So we do those, and so we have tickets out, but we're not getting any income on those. And it was an interesting season.
And yet revenues went up.
And yet revenues went up.
Well, that's a testament to what you guys are doing with great
you.
shows, because again, you sort of do, help the community by having some of the free shows, and I think that brings people in later on to buy tickets. All right, now let's talk about some things coming up. I'm just going to throw some things out. I'm sure I'll mispronounce something or get something wrong, but that's why you're here.
It could happen.
American Spiritual Ensemble, January 27. What's that about?
This is 24 of the most amazing voices you'll ever find. This is a group, Dr. McCory, who is the leader of this organization. They are keeping the Negro spiritual alive. And this is not a gospel concert. This is a concert that really looks at the history of the American Negro spiritual.
So you don't have to be religious.
Wonderful.
You don't have to be religious necessarily,
That's right.
and you can be, but you don't have to be. But it's like going to church and hearing great church music.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Now the Golden Gates, February 1st. What's that about?
The Golden Gates are 15 Eastern European Russian performers, 10 dancers, 5 musicians. They play balalaika and accordion and guitar, and beautiful costumes, wonderful dance. It's at 7:30 on a Thursday night. It's part of our High Point Community Concert Association series.
That'd be great. Kit and the Cats. Did I say that right? Kit
you
and the Cats.
did indeed.
February 3rd.
Yeah, Laura Ellis, who plays Kit, is a remarkable vocalist and actress in her own right. This is really sort of a Bobby Soxer show, if you will. It takes a look at the music of the 50s into the early 60s. If you come to this show, you're going to know every tune. You're going to be snapping your fingers. You're going to be humming them as you walk out the door.
That's great. No matter what age, you like it. You
exactly.
Like that stuff.
They're fun.
Emil Pandolfi, did I say that right?
You did. Emil Pandolfi, along with Dana Russell. Emil is an amazing pianist. He plays not only classical music, but popular music. In fact, the first time that I ever presented Emil, I sold more in his CDs than I did in tickets.
Wow.
I mean, we sold a lot of tickets. That's how popular he is. And Dana Russell has just the voice of a songbird.
So I didn't know you could, I mean, do some of your performers make CD sales available at the performance, or do you have to go? They do?
Yeah, they do.
So after performances, not all, but a lot of performances, I can come out into the lobby and buy CD.
Exactly.
I didn't know that.
Sure can.
And then Al Stewart, February 16th.
We are so excited. This is the 40th anniversary of The Year of the Cat, the album that came out. This is Al with the band called Empty Pockets, which is his new band, which has been nominated for a Grammy in its own right. But the Year of the Cat album, of course, is one of the most popular of all of his albums, and his voice hasn't changed.
That'll be a great Valentine's after Valentine's thing.
That's right.
Okay, now on the website, I want people to check this out: highpointtheater.com. For the radio audience, and say it again, highpointtheater.com, and the box office number 887-3001, 887-3001. Dave Briggs, thanks for being here and representing the arts.
I'm delighted to represent the arts.
All right. We'll be right back after this. If I didn't even know Chancellor Robinson, if I didn't know anything about Winston-Salem State University, which I did because I'm a homeboy and I know about that, I'm a Winston-Salem boy, but if I didn't, I'd be recruiting him as an industry, and we're going to find out why. Next to me, of course, our good friend, Dr. Elwood Robinson, Chancellor Winston-Salem State University. Welcome back, sir.
It's always good to be here, Jim.
And just so people know what the heck I'm doing, I'm not just spewing facts here. You guys are an industry to yourself, and you're having a lot of impact on the community, as has been proved by a recent report from UNCF. What's the overriding thing? We'll get into specifics in a minute. But
I think the overriding part of that report would be that Winston-Salem State is making a huge impact in the Triad area. When we think about those businesses, those industries that are bringing in jobs, that are creating jobs, Winston-Salem State is one of the leading parts of our community who does that. Yeah. And we were excited to hear, and in fact, that we're having such a huge economic impact on the Triad area. We think that the study only talks about part of that. That study talks about us having a $233 million economic impact on the Triad.
Wow.
But that was just from our 2014 graduates. We have over 10,000 alums who currently live in the Triad area, who work in the Triad.
So that hasn't even been counted yet.
That hasn't even been counted. They're creating jobs every day. We think that we can estimate, almost maybe $500 million impact.
So, how many jobs? And I want to make sure the folks don't understand it. We're not just talking about people employed at Winston-Salem State. We're talking about how many jobs did UNCF sort of estimate that you're helping to create around the area just by being here?
Well, I don't think that they really know how many we create. They estimate that based upon our graduates, and our graduates going out and also creating jobs, and also what we do at the university. Remember that folks sometimes forget we're a huge industry in and of ourselves. I mean, we got 5,100 students, we got over 1,100 employees, and as I said, even in the Triad area, almost 10 to 12,000 alums who every day contribute to the economic aspect of this area.
You're almost like a town to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. We think of it. One of the things I'd like to share as we're talking about this, what I've been saying now, Jim, is I've been telling our graduates that when you get a degree from Winston-Salem State University, you've increased your earning power by 68%. And that was above the state average and above the national average when getting a degree from a university.
Absolutely.
Now, this study estimated that a degree from Winston-Salem State University is worth $1.1 million. That's a story that I tell loudly.
If suppose I'm sitting here, I'm watching TV today, maybe I'm a white guy or black guy, Hispanic guy, and I'm saying, hey, my family, I don't have anybody right now going to Winston-Salem State, so why should I be concerned about what the chancellor just said?
You should be concerned because, one, education is an engine of opportunity, and everybody wants to get into the business of getting a college education. So if you come to Winston-Salem State University, you're going to increase your earning power 68% over what you would make if you did not
and
come
your graduates
to Winston-Salem State University.
Your graduates are paying taxes. They're very successful. I mean, they're out there because you've helped create those jobs. They've lowered the tax base for others. That means, maybe I'm getting better deals on police protection and fire and health services. And
I want to thank you, Jim. You just recruited so many people that's going to come to Winston-Salem State because of just what you just said.
Well, like I said, I don't make this stuff up. I mean, I grew up here. I said I'm a Winston-Salem boy, and I remember, pulling for, the Rams and everything, and I just didn't realize as a kid how much impact there was, but I do as an adult. All right, before we run out of time, give me just an overall quick statement about what kind of year 2017's been.
I think it's been an incredible year. It's a year in which we saw that we celebrated 125 years. We had so many great events, Jim, during the course of the year. I think we've elevated the status of Winston-Salem State in the minds of the Triad and of North Carolina because of the great things that we're doing.
Well, my mind needs elevating, which I think you said that off camera one time, but in a different way. Up on screen, wssu.edu. Please check that out. And Chancellor, you have done so much to boost this university and the economy of the area. We thank you for all of that. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today. I'm excited about meeting this lady for the first time, having her on the show for the first time, because she just does such important work to help people get back into the workforce. Lori Bates, her director. Let's meet her right now. Janice Richardson is the Career Connections Coordinator at the Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina, located in Lexington, and we welcome you to the program.
Thank you, Jim. I'm glad to be here.
Good to see you. And now, what type of services do Goodwill's Career Centers offer to local businesses? In case somebody doesn't know what a career center is, what you do, what does it offer?
Okay, what we do for local businesses is provide them with a group of eager job seekers who are looking for employment. We provide a space for employers to come in and do things like new hire orientation. We host job fairs, which has really been the most impactful thing that we do there at the center.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you later on about any of those coming up, but go ahead. I'm sorry to
Okay,
interrupt.
that's fine. So we provide meeting spaces for managers to have their managers training meetings, and we also provide training services for employees who are currently employed with the employer, because we have a partnership with Davidson County Community College where we provide job training as well.
In case they need some extra training, even though they're employed.
Exactly. Like, for example, we've provided OSHA training for employers who needed training for.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
All right, but now let's focus back on people that don't have a job for a second.
Yes.
When you, and we'll talk about job fairs too, but when you have job fairs, for example, what are some of the ways that people who are seeking a job can benefit from showing up in an event like that?
The way the people, the job seekers you're referring to?
Yeah.
The job seekers benefit because they have the employer right there, ready and willing to speak with them. They don't have to go through the process of having the application go through and waiting to hear back.
Calling somebody on the phone, not getting a call back.
Exactly. So they have the employer right there. And what we do to help the employee benefit even more is we prepare them and we coach them prior to the job fair, so they're ready and they're there and they know the questions to ask.
And I think you were telling me, or in an email or something one time about, you say, look, you ought to dress nice, bring a resume, be ready, be prepared. And you get them ready to go to these things. And everybody wants to be respected too. And if you show up, if you're just trying to seek a job without your help, you can get, phone calls go unreturned, mail doesn't get answered, but here you've got them right in front of the decision makers.
Absolutely.
I think that's great. Now, you don't have to give me a long list, but give me a couple examples of employers who participate in job fairs. You've mentioned that they participate. Sure. Give me a couple, throw out a couple names.
Some of the employers we work with include Ashley Furniture, Master Brand, which is a furniture company, also some of the local staffing agencies like The Resource, Staff Masters, just to name a few.
What kind of feedback do you get from your job fair events?
One of the things that the employers say about our job fairs is that they're very impressed with the preparation of the employee. We make sure that before our job seekers go in to talk to the employers, they have that resume in hand. They've been coached on some of the types of questions they should ask the employer when they get to their table and get an opportunity to speak with them.
So the employers know that you've really helped them
Absolutely.
to get ready. Now, you sort of partially answered this already. I'll make it real quick. But, job fairs are all over the area. Goodwill does a great job, and your counterparts in some of the other areas.
Sure.
But since you're located in Lexington and concerned with Davidson County, very quickly, what kind of jobs right now are sort of open in Davidson County? What kind of opportunities do you think are out there in Davidson?
What I'm seeing in Davidson County, manufacturing is always a big job market. Food service is another one. Construction is also another growing
I didn't
field.
think about construction. Mm-hmm. And do you have any big events coming up, any job fair events or anything?
We do. Our next job fair is February the 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We do what we call a third Thursday job fair every month at our Career Center.
But February 15th from 9 to 12 is going to be
that
a
is
big
our next
job
event
fair at the Career Center in
Lexington? That
Lexington?
is correct.
Okay.
719 West Center Street in Lexington.
And you can check out the website too and get more information in general about Goodwill by the website goodwill.nwnc.org, and I hope people will do that. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Jim, for having me.
Thanks a lot. All right, Janice. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today. I feel like I haven't seen this gentleman in a while, and I haven't, but we're going to say a belated Happy New Year and welcome this special guest, our good friend David Mounts, Chairman and CEO of Inmar. Welcome back, sir.
Good to see you, Jim. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you. And first, as always, I know you get tired of me asking you this. Before we get into the main topic, let's just remind everybody of very quickly what Inmar does and how you impact everybody's lives.
Yeah, Inmar is a tech-enabled services and analytics company that services more than 100,000 retailers, thousands of CPG brands and pharmacies and hospitals.
And I mentioned you guys in my column this week because we were talking about the Girl Scouts and how you help Girl Scouts. And that's just one of the many things that you do at Inmar too. But that sort of transitions us into young people.
Yes.
And what we're talking about. Now, I understand you've been real involved in the past year or so, maybe longer, in an organization called Gen Youth, Gen Youth. Tell us about that.
Gen Youth is doing some really great work. It is helping youth understand how they can take charge themselves in their schools and communities and help to set plans on becoming healthier and living healthier lifestyles.
Now, I think you or Shannon sent me an email that said something about a study that was done last year, 2017.
Yes.
And I believe what you said in the email was it showed some kind of a link between technology and young people somehow. I mean, what was that link about, and what were you talking
Well, there's two studies. We did one together with Gen Youth, and then Inmar did its Teen Shopper study. And we are looking at the data from both of those and the intersection of health and youth, and how can we make an impact there.
So what was the first study? Well, we'll get to the teen thing in a minute. What was the first study?
The Gen Youth study wanted to really understand how teens were thinking about their health and how they were thinking about using technology relative to their health. And we learned several things about them in that process. Well, first of all, there's a large percentage of them, 53%, so they're very interested in health and wellness. And they're very interested in using technology to do that. We had 45% believe that technology can actually help them reduce their stress. And 64% of them said that they often will use some form of app that has to do with health and wellness. And
That's sort of surprising.
It is very surprising. We were very surprised, pleasantly surprised, to find out that they were willing to consider technology. And as you think about dealing with youth, there's always been a generation gap. It doesn't matter which generation you think of. And of course, there are legitimate reasons why we should be concerned about how much time youth is spending on technology. This is something that needs to be balanced. But you know, they are there, and this is where the Inmar Teen Shopper study comes into play. It's also very important. 76% of teens have their first digital device by the time they're 13.
Now that does not surprise you.
That doesn't surprise you. I think you see it. 80% of them will tell you that they use their smartphone most out of all other digital devices to interact. Okay, so what we've begun to think about is if they're open to using technology for health and wellness, and we do have health and wellness issues in our youth, and they're serious. Obesity is one. Yeah, we need to focus on those. And if they are in the place of technology, how could we start taking advantage of that to be where they are, to communicate the right types of things and shape their outcomes to be better and different than ours?
I just think that's great, because while I'm not surprised that the kids are using technology, which I'm illiterate with, as you know, and you laugh at me a lot about that, but I know the kids use it. But it's surprising me that, you know, they're willing to say, yeah, I need to think about my health. I need to think about nutrition. I want to see how many calories that has, or what I should do about, you know, that's really cool. Now, there's several websites I want to put up too before we finish up. Of course, inmar.com is the basic one, but then you're doing a blog as well, and that's up on screen, inmar.com/blog, and then genyouthnow.org. And so just wrap up with your thoughts on this.
Well, Alexis Click, who's someone that you know well, and a very prominent, successful person, leads Gen Youth, and leads it with an energy that is going to impact our youth and their health. We know that the students and the youth are skeptical of a lot of advertising and media, but they listen to social influencers, and they listen to things and use their technology in doing that. Just imagine if we could be the first generation that's raising the next generation, and we focused on authentic, real communication that could get them thinking about their health in ways that could change the way they live, in a way that they were willing to receive it and wanted to receive it.
Be quite an accomplishment, and I'll point to you when that happens, and I'll say, this guy here had a lot to do with it too, and thank you for all you do.
It's a team sport. We got a lot of people thinking about this, and I know we're going to get somewhere with it.
All right. David Mounts always brings us good information and does a lot for the community. We'll be right back then. Back now on Triad Today, and it's just about time for the round table, so let's do it. On my immediate right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, that great award-winning broadcaster and journalist, and next to him, Dr. Don Martin, a professor at High Point University, former school superintendent, and also vice chair of the County Commissioners for Forsyth. Is it vice chair or co-chair?
It is vice chair.
Vice chair. So if Dave Plyler, our friend Dave, should commit a serious crime and be chased out of the country, you would become the chairman.
I would.
All right. Now, Keith Granberry, founder and CEO of Helping Hands Consultants, now doing the work of getting people registered to vote nationwide, which is an admirable thing. And Keith is also eating cookies. The reason we're talking about that, Lori, here, I don't know if we can we'll get a close-up on this later, but anyway, that we're eating Girl Scout cookies courtesy of the Girl Scouts Carolina's Peaks to Piedmont, who sent this over. And I just think it's great that they gave us these cookies. They're on there doing the cookie drive, so buy cookies from the Girl Scouts. Now, let's get to the first topic. Speaking of successful girls who grow up to be successful women, let's talk about a friend of Keith's, Oprah Winfrey. The furor is still going over whether or not Oprah is going to run for president in 2020. And as I said, Keith is a friend of hers, so we'll see what he has to say in a minute. Let's start with Ogie. The polls say she could beat Trump by 10%. You think she'll run? And if she does, will she beat him? Ogie.
I don't think she will, but there's
don't think she
no
will
doubt
run,
in my
or-
mind that she could beat Trump. But I really don't see her running. I really don't.
You don't think she'll run?
I don't think so.
Don.
I would be very surprised, and I think it depends how things are in 3 years, but I think she probably could.
You think she could beat him if she ran?
Yes. Yes.
Keith.
Well, I'm closer to Stedman, but I think that she will not run, but I think she will play a major part in this political season, and I think she's going to become more active around this country, and whoever runs will have someone who will be an amazing surrogate for their race.
All right, that's good. All right, let's stay sort of on politics, not picking on Trump, but speaking of politics and Trump running for president re-election. He says a lot of things and tweets a lot of things, guys, that are not very nice. And so there are a lot of people that are still angry about him using Twitter, and they would like for his Twitter account to be suspended. Twitter so far has said, no, we don't think we're going to do that. Should Twitter reconsider if things are said that are hate speech or hateful or nasty from anybody, but especially the president? Should the Twitter account be suspended, Ogie?
Yeah, let's do pick on Trump. Yeah, let's. Sure, why not? We know that it's just the rantings of a buffoon and a megalomaniac. But really, some of the stuff he says has crossed the line into inciting riots and violence, and somehow there's got to be a demarcation line in there. The guy is crazy, and he's inciting people to violence.
Don, as a sort of a more conservative guy, more toward the Republican side, what's your bent on this?
I don't think you cancel his Twitter account. I mean, the public's there, and yes, you can't show a nexus directly that what he has said has created a riot. Clearly, there have been people complaining, but I think he's clearly a public figure, and I think having a Twitter account would be appropriate.
Keith.
Well, I usually agree with Ogie on things, but I think that we cannot cancel his Twitter account because we need to know what the President of the United States is thinking, good or bad. And I think that canceling that would not let the American people see who he is and what his thought process
So
is.
you say we need the flow of information.
Absolutely.
Regardless. All right. North Carolina legislators are thinking of requiring Medicaid recipients to go to work if they want to keep receiving aid. You guys okay with that, Ogie?
Isn't that kind of counterproductive? I mean, isn't that why it exists, to help low income?
They can't afford it?
And yeah, sure, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Don.
Well, it is. If you get it's not always one way or the other. I think generally, yes, having a job is a good thing. However, you're going to have some exceptions.
All right, Keith.
I mean, come on. Number one, this is for people who need help and assistance. You've already taken most of their assistance away from them. They're not getting a lot of assistance right now, even if they got 4 or 5 children. They're suffering. That's why we have projects. And now you want to make those people work when you need to be building up their skills and giving them opportunities instead of putting them in jobs where dead-end jobs where this is not going to help them out. And they're going to make less money by working than they are with the money they receive from the government.
Hurt things in the short run to get them to the long run, so it's sort of counterproductive. With a growing number of sexual assaults, including groping and kissing going on, many women are calling for the statute of limitations to be lifted so that offenders can be tried and punished even decades after an assault. Now, we're not talking about rape, but we're talking about the other more minor things, but everything's bad, groping and kissing, unwanted kissing. Should we get rid of the statute of limitations in all sexual misconduct cases? Ogie.
I'm a big supporter of the Me Too movement, and everybody knows that, but I tell you, we cannot overreact to this thing. We're almost to a point where it's out of control. We're overreacting to a lot of minor, teeny, insignificant things.
I agree. Don.
I agree, and there's no way to corroborate sort of evidences back 25 years ago.
Keith.
I think it's tough to demonize a person if somebody comes forth 20 or 30 years later.
They could be telling the truth, but you don't know.
They could be, and I'm a big supporter of Me Too, but there's got to be a line, and if someone does something that detrimental to you, you should be saying something to someone immediately.
All right. During the recent holidays, we'll cover this quickly, a New Jersey shopping mall was overrun by 1,000 unruly teenagers, so police were called in to try to disperse the crowd. Authorities in New Jersey are asking parents to accompany their teenager if they go to the mall. Should that policy be put in effect at local malls here? Nobody under 18, less than adult? Quickly, Ogie.
No, that's ridiculous. That will be the death knell of malls. If you want to shut them down, that will do it.
Don.
I agree, do not do that.
Keith, you don't want to do it. And finally, guys, pole dancing may soon be designated as an official sport. That means, once that happens, it could end up in the Olympics. Guys and gals and girls, all over the audience. I want people to think about this. Should pole dancing be an Olympic sport? And have you ever seen anyone pole dance, or have you ever pole danced, Ogie?
I have a dear friend who is a pole dance instructor. She has a studio downtown Greensboro, and I have seen her pole dance, and I like it.
You like it. Don?
I have seen it. I have not pole danced.
Right.
And quite frankly, there are a lot of things in the Olympics that deal with that.
you
It
haven't
requires a lot
yet.
of coordination to do
Right.
that.
Keith?
I've never seen the pole dancing,
You
but
lied. He's lied. Jim,
but
he's
I think
lied.
it should be the #1 sport in the Winter and Summer Olympics.
Well, once again, Pinocchio Granberry. Well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Buckingham Palace has fired the woman who serves as the Queen's bra fitter because the royal brassiere lady just wrote a tell-all book. Said Elizabeth's spokesperson, when it comes to fitting the Queen's bra, you either support her or you don't. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you do.
For all of us here, try it today. We'll see you next week.